the internationally distributed team from Herocoders. Probably Danny first, over to you.
Yeah, cheers, Kit. Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. As Kit said, yeah, we're internationally distributed. I'm Danny. I'm from the UK originally, but I'm currently living in the south of France. Kasia will introduce herself in a moment, but we're based in Poland and we have teams spread out all over the world. So great to be with you this morning for us, but this evening for you guys. So our aim for the next sort of 30 minutes is to show you how our Hero Coders apps can help teams to plan, track, and execute work more effectively in Jira. And our promise to you is to keep the session practical, we'll keep it interactive, and hopefully very informative too. So we've split into three parts. In part one, I'll start by framing why Hero Coders hopefully matters to you as a member of the Atlassian community, whether you're an admin, a team lead, power user maybe, or just or even a consultant. We'll explore where our products fit strategically within your own ecosystems and how they can help you solve some real world challenges from improving visibility and governance and to making Jira work better for your teams. And the goal here in this first part is just to help you connect the dots between the tools you might already know from Hero Coders, the tools you don't yet know, and how they can enhance and extend that value. Then in part two, I'll hand over to Kasia, who's going to jump into a live demo of the products in action. This will give you a practical look at how the tools work and help you visualize how you might use Hero Coders in your own environment, whether that's within your organization, your team, or with your clients. In the demo, we'll try to go beyond sort of just features and showcase the everyday impact you can expect. Then in part three, we'll have some time for some Q&A. So if you've got any questions for us, please throw them in anytime, and we'll get to as many as we can following the demo. So yeah, I'll just quickly introduce myself. As I said, I'm Danny. I'm from the UK, living in France. I've been with Hero Coders for the last 6 months. My main role is to be marketing and partnerships manager. So I spend most of my time working with our partners out in the ecosystem. And then when I'm not doing that, doing sort of these sorts of events with the team. And Kasia, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kasia Karska, and I'm the head of product at Herocoders. I joined the business over 3 years ago. On a daily basis, I'm managing two products, Clockwork and Portfolio, but I'll be also showing you today how the checklist app works. So happy to join you today, and hopefully we'll have some fun today.
Excellent. Thanks, Kasia. So yeah, well, let me just give you a quick intro into who Hero Coders are if you don't know us yet. We are an Atlassian Platinum Marketplace Partner. We build Jira-native apps used by teams all over the world. Our focus is pretty simple. We try to help teams to plan, track, and execute work clearly inside Jira, especially as their work scales. To give you an idea of our size, we've got more than 70,000 customers around the world. That includes millions of users and tens of thousands of product installs in the marketplace. And there are many enterprise teams using the apps, and they rely on the functionality every single day, often without even realizing it. And most people know Hero Coders through our flagship product, which is checklists for Jira. It's one of the most widely used apps in Jira and helps teams to standardize work, reduce errors, bring consistency to delivery. Chances are many of you are already using it. Maybe you can give us a thumbs up in the chat if you're currently using checklists, and that would be cool to see. There's three versions of that app. There's the free, the pro, and the enterprise, and it's been trusted by 50,000 customers across the globe. And I believe it's actually the number three most installed app in the marketplace, although I haven't checked that in a while, so don't quote me on that. But what most people don't necessarily realize is that although Checklist is our flagship app, there is also a couple of others that we work on as well, and Checklist is just one part of what we do. So today we'll show you how our full product suite, Checklists, Clockwork, and Portfolio support planning, tracking, and execution. So inconsistent workflows, time tracking, no one trusts, portfolio planning living outside Jira, and lots of data, but very little clarity. This is the feedback we constantly hear, and this is where Jira teams spend a lot of their time sort of firefighting. And our apps aim to flip those problems into outcomes. So confident portfolio and capacity planning, accurate and flexible time and cost tracking and consistent execution, which means to faster decision making or without forcing any teams out of Jira. So our product suite, you get 3 clear outcomes. Portfolio helps teams to plan, Clockwork helps teams to track, and checklists helps teams execute. They're individually very powerful, but even better together, we believe. And for you, this means faster rollout with minimal disruption, less manual work and fewer workarounds, clear visibility without leaving Jira, and tools that work within your existing setup, because our apps are all designed to fit naturally into Jira environments. And we might have some enterprise teams on the call. We know they care deeply about security. Well, all teams care about security, but particularly in enterprise. And we're proudly SOC 2 Type 2 compliant, fully Jira-native, as I've said a couple of times. And customers trust our fast hand-on human support. We were hoping to have our head of support, Gratian, with us today, but unfortunately he's come down with illness. So just myself and Kasia with you this evening. But what we find is that our customers, they don't just adopt our apps, they tend to stick with them over the long term. And although I'm not going to read out these quotes, what we hear, they basically reflect what we hear consistently: less noise, clearer workflows, reliable tracking, and responsive support. They're the kind of outcomes you and your team can expect if you're working with Herocoders. So that was just a very quick overview. Next, we'll take a look at each product and show you where each one can fit in, both on its own and as part of the wider Herocoders suite. And I'll stop sharing, Kasia, and I'll hand over to you to take control.
Thank you. Let me just share my screen. I hope you can see it. Cool. So probably most of you are already familiar, at least with a little bit, with the checklist app.
Hola.
Hello. But I would like to start our.
Thank you for the entertainment, though.
Yeah.
Sorry?
Yeah. Perhaps people could go on mute if they're not presenting. We'll ask people to raise questions as well, but perhaps the default by mute would be great. Thanks. Back to you.
So yeah, I would like to start our demo with something else. So many teams reach out to a point where their portfolio of projects become really difficult to manage. There are many initiatives running in parallel, epics spread across projects, unclear dependencies, and we can go into some of those spaces in Jira and see that there are many projects and many data here that we need to figure out to understand actually what's going on. So Jira is a great work management tool, but where it intentionally stops is where the advanced portfolio and capacity management starts. So project, program, and portfolio managers struggle to manage a large number of projects, understand the future demand and manage resources in the most optimized way, identify and manage risks early, track and report on progress across multiple projects at the same time at multiple levels of initiatives. So as you can see, we have those projects in here, and the data is here, but it's very fragmented. So understanding the progress is very difficult, and it takes time and effort. So let's go to Portfolio by Herocoders. Portfolio gives you a single place to see and manage your entire scope of work. So here we have a list of portfolios. I can open one of them. And here we can actually focus on what's really important for us. So we can define which projects we want to include. It can be a single project or multiple projects at the same time. We can define which statuses matter to us, what status categories, or for example, what time range is important to look at. We can even fine-tune this filter and use JQL for that for a more advanced search. But let's select those 3 projects for now. And I'll save that out. So in this single view, I can manage multiple projects at the same time. I can group data by hierarchy, by projects, for example, or for example, by teams, by statuses. I can also switch to some different visualizations of my portfolio. So right now we are looking at the table view where we can define columns and stuff that we want to see, but we can also switch to some more visual parts of my portfolio, and I can see the whole hierarchy of issues and epics, and I can see the progress of how many issues have been already delivered against the whole scope. I can also switch to a tree map to see how many issues by status are available in my portfolio, or for example, to a pie chart and also drill down into this data to see basically how many issues are in each of them. But let's get back to the table view. In this view, I can customize the columns. I can add Jira custom and also portfolio own insights. For example, time and status, calculated end date, or delivery and capacity alerts. So in this view, I can also add new tasks, manage multiple issues at the same time, but I can also inline edit the dates and other data from Jira and from custom fields. So portfolio also helps you surface upcoming delivery risks. And whenever, for example, a task in the hierarchy doesn't fit the end date of the epic, it will show you a delivery alert. So you will know that you need to adjust the schedule. So this makes it even more easier to understand how work is connected and how changes impact delivery. But now let's take a look at the capacity planning and forecasting, because a lot of people struggle with this the most. Here I can see that there are some initiatives that have some probable delay, and let's click on it. Portfolio will basically pre-filter now the capacity view to the assignee of the issue where the capacity alert was visible, and it will show me where actually the person is overbooked. And I can decide whether I want to reschedule the work, extend it, squeeze it, or for example, assign to someone else. And I can easily done it by double clicking on it and, for example, looking for someone else. But I can also add here some more people, like, for example, additional teams or groups or users. Let me add my teams. I can also give this capacity planner a name and save it for future reference so I don't have to create a new view each time I want to see what my team is working on. And I can see that, for example, the time where Grazian was overbooked, Krzysztof, for example, has some free capacity, so I can just go in and reassign it to him. And now Krzysztof will have this booking, and I can extend it or even start it earlier, just to make it fit into his available capacity. So using the capacity planner, I can view availability of all my teams across all the projects in Jira, but I can also plan the whole portfolio. So if we go in here, we can see the unplanned work items. I can select a portfolio, for example, the one that we were looking at, and I will see all the tasks that weren't planned yet, and I can assign them to users, to dates, and I will see immediately in the capacity planner how the availability of my team is planned. What else? I can also plan future demand before the project is even confirmed. If we go to resource requests, I can determine, for example, whether I need, for example, a developer with Java skills. I can define the dates. I can then save it. And thanks to it, so we can see the booking is starting in here. I can look and see whether I have availability in my team in those forecasted days. So I can see and I can decide whether I want to assign it to one of my team members. So as you can see in portfolio, task estimates and dates are translated into actual booked capacity, and you can look at the capacity per days or per weeks, but also per months. So if members are on holidays or unavailable, because you can book holidays within portfolio, portfolio automatically accounts for that, spreading work only across working days of the team. So this helps to prevent burnout and last minute surprises. And while the interface is really intuitive and easy to read, the planning behind it is actually very precise and data driven. So now let's discuss the business impact. Portfolio isn't just about the visibility, it also helps to save time, reduce risks, and make better decisions live. By having this clear real-time view of progress, teams can spot blockers early, reallocate work, and communicate status clearly to stakeholders. Many teams report spending significantly less time in status meetings and on manual reporting while making those faster and more informed decisions. So now that we've seen portfolio and how you can plan and manage work across projects and teams, let's add an additional critical layer to that. So time, costs, and revenue tracking. So let's move on to this issue. This is where Clockwork Pro comes in. And Clockwork Pro builds on that by answering another set of questions. How much effort is actually being spent? What does that effort cost? And also what's the revenue associated with this work? So here on my screen, you can see we are in the work item view, in the issue view, and we can see Clockwork. Here you can log time manually, and this is especially helpful if you want to add some additional details to work logs, like for example, the billable tag, or for example, assign some work type. Here you can also use a start and stop timer if you want Clockwork to calculate the time for you. So whenever you start working on an issue, you just click start and then stop it whenever you finish working on it. But also you can use automatic time tracking, and this is especially helpful for people who hate time tracking. Automatic time tracking Clockwork allows you to calculate the time within the active status of the issue. So you can define which statuses of issues should be treated as active. For example, in this case, I have in progress made as active, and whenever I will move this issue to done, Clockwork will in the background log my time spent on this issue. So Clockwork not only tracks time, but also it consolidates it. So let's go to my work. In my work, users can view their time as a timesheet, like a typical one, where you can see the dates. Just let me switch to time, where we can see the dates and we can see how much time has been logged. They can add here time, but they can also look at their week schedule using a calendar view. Here they can start a timer, they can copy a work log, they can just drag and drop some recent issues or just drag and drop on the calendar and add some time in here. They can also see how much time they have logged throughout the week versus the expected time for this individual, but also see per day how much time has been logged. So this is where the users view their time. But now let's move on to timesheets. This is the view for managers where they can see time logged either by everyone in the business or just their own teams. They can use filters and breakdowns to see time from different angles. For example, if they want to see some specific custom field, or if they want to see only billable time, they can do that using those filters. We can also group the time by weeks and months, so we can really look at this from different angles. They can also send an email and ask the team to make some corrections in the timesheet. So it's very easy to do. But they can also see, for example, the planned time versus the actuals from various epics, or for example, by status. But as you know, time is money, and Clockwork also allows you to track and see the costs and revenue from the time logged. And you can do it straight from here in the timesheet. Whenever there is some time logged and someone has their individual hourly cost updated, or the revenue per hour, you will see the whole revenue from the work in the timesheet. So once you have this timesheet configured, you just set up the filters, breakdowns, and the visibility of it. You can save it as a report, and it will be available in the Reports tab anytime you need to look at this data. So that's very helpful. If you are using time tracking for invoicing or payroll purposes, you can use custom fields or work log attributes to categorize the time. They then filter by it in the timesheet, and then also set up billing periods, which will allow you to log the edits of the time after, for example, the end of month. And you can define which should be those billing periods, how they should log, if they should log automatically. You can also do it manually from here, but you also have this function of auto logging the time. So what's important to mention, Clockwork is extremely easy to use and flexible, especially making it work the way teams prefer. There's a lot of configuration that is available, and everyone can actually adjust their time tracking to the way they work. So we've seen how to plan projects and portfolios. We've seen how to manage team capacity, and also how to track the actual results. But now let's dive deeper into how you can actually ensure your plans and workflows are being executed, and that your processes are also followed consistently. So here's the checklist. Checklist becomes extremely helpful when work needs to follow specific steps, reviews or approvals are required, or for example, regulatory or internal compliance standards apply, like for example, definition of done or any other processes like that. Teams often rely on documentation or guidelines, but when deadlines are tight, steps might get skipped, not intentionally, but just because they're easy to miss. So this is when checklists come into play. Checklists are repeatable, enforceable steps that you can define directly in Jira, and you can, instead of relying on memory or external documents, you can see those required steps visible at all times within the Jira issue. So you can break tasks into steps, and let's add a checklist here just to show you. You can define the statuses, you can add some additional descriptions, assign people, assign dates, and those people will also get some notifications whenever the step has a date and a person assigned. You can also define if the step is mandatory or just optional, and you can also use templates. That saves time on repeated work and prevent missing important steps. Additionally, those checklist templates and also checklists can be automated and added at a certain stage of the workflow. So let's say whenever something is selected for development, there can be an automation that adds up a template with certain steps to the issue. So checklists are fully compatible with Jira automations. You can set up conditions and actions based on checklist completion, modify checklists, for example, or complete items automatically. Checklists can be also set up so that the workflow transition is blocked until all items are ticked. So let's say I want to move this issue to done. As you can see, it doesn't allow me because I have this validator set up. that doesn't allow me to close the issue until all the checklist items are toggled. So let's toggle all of them, as I just finished to work on them, and I can now move it to done. The validator is not appearing anymore. So thanks to checklists, no work items are being missed. Your processes can be fully integrated and automated into existing Jira workflows, and processes and progress is transparent among teams. And this is not only used in development. We have customers who are even using it in manufacturing, in medical industry, and others. So it's really flexible in terms of working. Thank you. Over to you, Danny.
Thanks, Kasia. Hopefully you can see my slides again and not my slides with my notes. All good, thank you. So yeah, hopefully that's given you an idea of how the three apps all work together.
Danny, we're seeing your notes as well. Wrong
we are
screen.
seeing. Yeah, sorry, my.
Can't pretend like I was just
I
reeling
gave
off
him the
everything off
thumbs
the
up,
top of my
and
head.
then
Gave me the thumbs up and then caught me off guard. Okay, let's
there
start
was an
again.
opportunity to have a go there, Danny. Didn't really talk much about the cricket. It was an opportunity to have a go. Yeah.
That's nasty, Jeff. That's all I'm saying.
Don't worry, we've had a few pre-calls where we've had enough stick about the cricket already. It was a pretty miserable winter for us / summer for you guys, but I think we're going a lot better in the T20. So hopefully we can do that. They do better. Okay, so let me try that again.
That looks great. Don't trust Jeff, whatever he saes.
Yeah, I was going to say I'm not going to ask Jeff again. Kit,
Yeah,
we're all
so
good now.
it looks great.
Okay. We'll just edit that whole bit out of the recording. So yes, thank you, Kasia, for that. We wanted just to do a quick roundup before we move into some Q&A. I can see there's already some decent questions that have come in. So if you do have any others, please throw them in and we'll get to as many as we can. So in the summary, portfolio isn't about adding another planning layer on top of Jira. It's about making the data that already exists within your current workflows more usable. It hopefully gives teams clarity across work, capacity and risk so they can plan realistically, spot issues and deliver with confidence instead of constantly having to be reactive rather than reacting at the last minute. Sorry. Clockwork Pro hopefully turns time into insight. It answers three critical questions, as Kasia mentioned. How much effort is actually being spent? What does that effort cost? What revenue is tied to that work? And at the end of the day, Clockwork isn't just about logging your time. It's about turning effort into insight and crucially without forcing teams into a rigid process that perhaps they don't want to be a part of. And whether teams want full automation or detailed control, Clockwork adapts to how they already work in Jira and gives managers the visibility they actually need. And then checklist turns the process into progress, making sure the right steps happen at the right time, embedding workflows directly into Jira issues and automating them where it makes sense, giving the teams consistency without any added layers of complexity. So we've got one product suite, but three clear outcomes: plan with portfolio, track with Clockwork, and execute with checklists. That's the Herocoders product suite, clarity at every stage of work. Thank you for giving us the time to present to you this evening. And if there are any questions, we can happily take them now. But before we do, if any of the apps look of interest to you and you and your teams want to give them a try, I'll share the link in the chat in just a moment to the marketplace. And if you want to collaborate at all, we have some special offers. So if you're willing to do a customer story with us, we're always interested in a variety of use cases. So if you want to do any sort of customer story with us, we can put together some special offers to make the apps more appealing to you. So I'll put my email and the link to the marketplace in the chat in just a moment. And we can now take any questions that have come in.
I have some, but we also have some in the chat. Let's go from top to bottom. Michelle, Do you want to voice yourself, Michelle, as you're on camera?
Hello. Yes, I'd love to, Kit. Thank you. So my original question was, what does portfolio management do above the native plans? Because plans allows you to bring lots of projects together and gives you a lot of the functionality. But then, Kasia, you went in and showed some of the different views you've got, and I really like some of those. And so I can see how it's built upon plans, or maybe plans stole from you. I'm not really going to say which happened first.
Yeah,
But
so first of all,
tell me a bit more about that.
yeah, sure. So Portfolio by Herocoders, you can use it without having the Jira Premium version. That's first of all. So you don't have to have plans. If you have, that's great. But Portfolio will offer you much more fields available in the table view. You can set up the view however you want. And we also have Portfolio Insights. So some of those columns you saw, like capacity alerts, delivery alerts, calculated forecasted end time, time and status, and so on. These are fields that are available only in Portfolio. Also, capacity planning is available across all of the projects, not only within a single project. I know that Atlassian just recently released a view for capacity inside a single space, but Portfolio gives you the ability to actually plan across all of the projects, all of the teams. So you have a single view across the whole organization for capacity. We also have vacation planning and holiday schedules. So we also account some time offs, which plans are not doing. So that's the biggest differences.
Yeah, looks very exciting. Thank you. Thanks, Kasia.
No problem.
Lovely question. Thank you for breaking the set. That was actually not too long a silence, so that was good. We have a question from Siva on what are mandatory pre-populated fields for this. We might need to specify what the this was because it was a bit earlier in things. Siva, can you specify what was the this when your question was prompted, if you are still with us? Or maybe, Kasia, are there any mandatory pre-populated fields whilst we are waiting for that?
I assume it was about portfolio table view. No, you don't have to have anything pre-populated. You can use whatever Jira custom fields you have in your Jira, and you can select some columns from portfolio. So everything is available in this view. You can just configure it the way you want.
Wonderful. The very catchily named AVMT1030 asks, is it possible to capture CapEx and OpEx expenses, and are all these features available in the single plugin?
Yeah, right now, only through custom fields in Clockwork, you can populate OpEx and CapEx, and then have it pre-filtered or broke down within the timesheet. But we plan to provide a more advanced feature for that in the future. Right now, custom fields can allow you to do that.
Lovely. My question is the next one, IT. So my first one was, will we be able to just dump this when Atlassian releases the vibe coding stuff next year and everyone can just make their own checklists and things?
I'm not sure. We'll see how the world with AI will change.
Yeah, it's an interesting question, Ken. We were talking a little bit about it before we came on the call,
Yeah.
weren't we? It's going to be amazing to see. Some of the things you can already do are amazing. It's only going to get better. What we were talking about initially about around security concerns is probably the main thing that I think is going to be what people need to look out for when vibe coding. But yeah, it's going to be a really interesting space, and we're obviously paying very close attention to it and seeing how we can incorporate into our workflows as well.
Good. And my second one before we go to Julia was I wanted to hear your diss track of Tempo, 7Pace, or the individual capacity management feature incoming Jira. So like, why are you better than the others in what's quite a crowded section of the marketplace?
Yeah, I think probably our biggest advantage, especially in terms of, I think all of our apps, but yeah, in terms of time tracking, when we want to compare to Tempo or other time tracking solutions, our UI is very simple and it's very easy to onboard. Basically, you install any of our apps and you can start from hour one to use those. You don't have to make a lot of configuration. There is already some default configuration, but you can adjust the tool as you move on with using it. But it's very easy to use.
Okay.
And
And
also,
also it's
everyone
much
try them.
cheaper.
Pilot
And
all
it's
of them.
much cheaper.
yeah, Kit, I was
Let's be
going to add on
honest.
the.
It
We
has a
should measure
very
that.
fair,
There you go.
it has a very fair price. So yeah.
Very good. And the last one we've got in there from Jale. I think that Michelle's question might have answered this one when we went through, but is portfolio functionality the same as advanced roadmaps? And if so, otherwise known as plans, and is the capacity functionality available within plans? Can you do per person? Can you demo it? I feel like we saw some of that in the end, but maybe Kasia, you can go back.
Yes, so portfolio is separate from advanced roadmaps in Jira. You don't have to have the premium Jira to actually use portfolio. It's also much cheaper in terms of the advanced version of Jira. And as I mentioned, it includes capacity planning across all of the projects and some additional functionality around the views and columns that you can track. Also, it integrates with Clockwork, so you can actually see the cost and revenue per work item within the portfolio table view, and there are some additional insights that you can select and add to this.
May I elaborate on my question?
Mm-hmm.
I was actually hoping to get the response not from the portfolio perspective, but from the advanced roadmap perspective, because that's what we have. And I've been able to manage to exercise some of the capacity planning functionality that you demoed on a per team basis. In other words, specifying, oh, this is, my team's capacity. Am I overloading them for a particular, time period? But I have not been able to discover whether the same could be done on a per person basis, because you did show us a view that showed a particular individual's capacity and how it is utilized. Is that replicated? Is that also available with advanced roadmap? Because all I've got is a plan. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's not. It's actually not. That's what I mentioned.
Okay.
In the difference between advanced roadmaps and portfolio is that here you can actually select, you can create your own capacity view. You can select who you want to see and see their work and availability across all of the projects, not only within a single team.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much.
And Jolly, in the interest of Atlassian Community things, there is an EAP, so an advanced program for Atlassian's individual capacity management. I've put the link in the chat, but it's like early access means beta and things. So, and like we would always say, like, try both. It's free to try, so like you should install a few and have a look around. But it's worth taking a look at that because that gives a preview of what the native capability would be. I would always say that there's immense value in the marketplace. And it only takes a tiny percentage of gain for your team to make it worth buying around things. So
wonderful. Thank you so very much. Really appreciate it.
you're welcome. Okay. That's more questions than we've had than I can remember ever on this thing, which is really lovely. Does anyone have anything else before we let folks wrap up and go?
Just wanted to say that was a huge number of attendees, and I'm wondering, Kit, whether we look at doing a 6 p.m. start time rather than a 4 p.m. time, which we have been doing.
Actually, attendees, you made it. If you can let us know in the chat why you came to this session, not previous ones, that'd be really helpful for our future planning of things. So, like later time, you heard that Danny was very funny. You like Kasia's LinkedIn, like whatever it is that tempted you here. Let us know because that helps us plan future sessions as well.
We have been trying to sort of schedule it during work hours.
Europe. Europe likes the time. There we go. But it's sunnier here, Leonie. Wouldn't you like to be over in Australia? There you go. Good. Keep adding those things in the chat and let us all. There's links from Danny and Kasia in the chat as well. So get in touch, join on LinkedIn. We'll be publishing the recording of this to YouTube as usual. So follow our channel there with things as well. And do have a natter with any of us at Team Tour in Sydney. Leonie, you can come over. That would be a great incentive. Come to Sydney in a couple of weeks and enjoy things there as you go. Thanks hugely to our presenters. Leonie will be jumping on a plane imminently from the chat, so that's good as well. And thank you all for your time. We will see you on a future
Yeah, just about to finish.
one.
Just give me 5 minutes, 2 minutes.
Zahir is going somewhere else in 2 minutes. He's in South Africa. We've done really well for the different countries here on this call. There you go. We're going to be doing these in the evening. That's what I can see from the chat, Jeff. Woe betide, we would want to spend our time in the evening on non-Atlassian topics. So,
Why would you want to do anything else? Okay,
yeah.
that's awesome. Thank you. Really appreciate that. And Kit, thank you for hosting. Work out who's hosting the next one. Actually, Kit, quick plug. You've got your next one
Oh yeah, that is a
coming
really good
up.
point. Yeah. So
Yeah.
we have a next one. We're doing a pause. Well, we're doing a pause because we were getting less people, and then we got loads of people. So that's this
Yeah.
next one for our. We were going to do less of the app ones, but the Hero Coders folks have break that. So thank you, Hero Coders.
Yeah.
For our next virtual session, we've got one. I'll post the link to you in the chat. So the folks from Aesop, or Jonathan White in particular, so the people who make the very posh soap in your bathrooms in trendy restaurants. Jonathan's going to be sharing with us on March 17th. It's going to be really good. Jonathan's lovely. So I really recommend joining for that. If you're fortunate enough to be in Brisbane, do join us next week as well for an in-person session with Women in Agile Brisbane, which is going to be awesome as well. But next virtual session will be on the 17th, and we're queuing up more exciting things over the course of the next few months as well. Thank you all.